Today we're going to be doing a structure gel manicure with luminary from start to finish. I'm going to be honest, there's a couple steps that I forgot to film, but they're really minuscule, so I don't think we'll miss them. And there's a couple of things that I do differently now. I filmed this a while ago. It's just been sitting in my archives. This is the video I picked to do because of the nail art portion. I had a lot of people asking me how I did this when I posted it on Instagram originally, and so wanted to take us through that too. When you do any sort of structure gel, gel X, hard gel, you always have the option to file down to a thin layer or soak off. I personally always opt to just file to a thin layer. That way I'm never touching the natural nail more than I have to. Here I'm using the safety tapered barrel in coarse. This only comes in right-handed, but they have a version of this that is not tapered. It's just the barrel carbide, and it does come in right and left-handed. I love that bit as well because it's not super toothy. It's not an aggressive removal bit, but it still cuts through thick product. Even with all this nail art, like it still took me less than 10 minutes to remove product on both hands. And it, I find, doesn't cut through fast enough that I'm worried about hitting natural nail, fast enough that it's efficient. I'm running at 32,000 RPMs and I am using super light pressure. The great thing about using high quality removal tools is that you don't have to put pressure on the nail. It is so much easier to work with high quality tools, and you're literally putting such little pressure on the nail. It's really saving your wrists. The shaping step is the step that I now do a little differently. I don't take nails this short into this much of an almond anymore. I just found that it was too difficult to maintain the integrity of the nails without accidentally cutting into the sidewalls. You don't know until you know. And so I wanted to put this in here because none of us are perfect. And if you're filing shorter nails into almond, maybe consider switching to more of a natural shape, more oval and more round, just to help save those sidewalls. As you can see, like, I'm not cutting into her sidewalls aggressively here, but it is more almond than it should be. And so I do love these files though. I really like having a file that is a buffer and file in one. Here I'm using the 180 grit, and then I literally just flip it over and I can take off any scragglies with the buffer. It's really important to me as an educator to be transparent about these things. Like, this was one of those things that I straight up just didn't know. And then once you know, you do better. And you can only do the same. So don't beat yourself up for stuff like this. It literally happens and it's literally okay as long as you fix it. The other step that I forgot to film was the fact that I pushed back the cuticles, and now we're going in with a Russian flame. It's hard to see on this nail, you see it better on the next one. But I am not dragging the belly of this bit down across the edge of the nail. I'm actually rotating up and just taking the very tip and very lightly filing the edge of the nail right there. If you file there too much, it can just create some problems and make that nail too thin. And so never drag, always lightly go across it if you even go across it at all. And then I'm switching to reverse. I am running at about 14. I had a really long string going, and then somebody called me, so we're just picking up where we left off. I'm running at about 14,000 RPMs in forward and reverse. And then you're literally just going to rotate up and around, really clean out that pocket. I'm using super light pressure, and I also go in and I clean out the skin too, just around the nails, especially around the free edge where people get a lot of calluses right there, and I just help sweep some of that away. This is super gentle. Like, this bit is in fine, and so you can do multiple passes and it's not going to irritate the skin, but you also can use it to exfoliate around the nail as well. I did not use nippers in the salon for the first year and a half because I was so afraid of them. Once I learned the difference between living and dead tissue and how to tell when that separation occurs, it was super easy to implement. But if you're in that season where you're like, I just don't know how to use nippers, that's okay. Practice on yourself, find some models who are aware that you're practicing, and just take it slow. Like, it's okay if you don't always implement everything in every service right away. To clean the nail, I use Scrub Fresh and Accents Dehydrator. I actually love Accents Dehydrator. It's one of my favorite ones that I've found. When I first started doing nails, I didn't know that dehydrator was so important, but it is. It helps balance the pH of your nails. So if you're struggling with lifting, you don't need more primer. You need a dehydrator, and that could be one of the steps that you're missing that can really help. Here I'm using Luminary. I really only use the clear Luminary. I've had a couple of their colors and I've really loved them. They're beautiful. I just prefer to use the clear. so that I know that it's always curing, and I check it periodically. I have the luminary pulse, and I love that as well because it is always ensuring that my clients don't have a massive heat spike. It has a half power turn on and off automatically setting. Every 10 seconds, it is shutting off and giving the gel room to cure, but also not be under a full power lamp, which I love. Once I have done this to all the nails, I go in and do a 60-second cure twice on each hand. So I am curing more than the brand recommends, but I would rather cure more than less. If you find that your gel is moving too fast, put it in the fridge for a few minutes. If you find that it is moving too slow, get a hand warmer. I get rechargeable ones on Amazon, and I literally just set it on that and let it warm up, and it moves faster then. One of the other things that I do is I leave residual color on the nails, especially like on the middle of the nails like that, because I'm going to go over it and cover it with a color regardless of what I'm doing. My clients never leave with just clear structure. I'm always going over it with either a solid color or this bubble bath. I do this as the base for all of my art. Sometimes I use like a more tan base, but honestly, 9 times out of 10, it is literally bubble bath. It is just the perfect neutral pink color. It goes with Frenches, it goes with neon art, it goes with neutral art. It's just perfect for that. And I would rather not touch the nail with my carbide and leave a little bit of color and cover it later than spend the extra time getting all the color off and then risk a ring of fire. A couple minutes down the road, we're going to have like a more in-depth how I got to this point right here, but I wanted to just show you an overview of what we did. We laid down Sharpie marker, you guys. This is literally Sharpie marker and rubbing alcohol, and that's how you make the base of this flower. It's I don't wanna say it's easy, but it's just so simple. Like, you don't need to spend $1,000,000 on alcohol inks. Go get some Sharpies, get some rubbing alcohol. You can build out exactly what you want and make it look like watercolor. It is so fun, and it's very unique. Like, it's such a unique thing to offer your clients because it looks different every single time that you do it. So to do this design, you're gonna need a liner detail brush, Sharpie marker. I'm using the Madame Gland Gold Chrome Paint, and a dotting tool and rubbing alcohol. I can't remember if I said that or not. You don't need to do a whole outline of a flower. You literally are just going to go over the nail and make a couple squiggly lines, and you're going to pull and fade those out as you are using your brush with alcohol. Because Sharpies are so pigmented, I frequently am cleaning out my brush in between passes on the nail here. That's something that you can't see in this video because I filmed this for Instagram, and so the aspect ratio is a little different, but I am cleaning my brush like every time I touch the nail. And then sometimes I'm even taking my brush and like scrubbing it out with alcohol so that it's a completely clean slate. And that is going to let you have the true watercolor effect because your brush will pick up a lot of pigment and just put more pigment down and not take any off. For the watercolor effect, you want the rubbing alcohol to be taking pigment out as well as spreading it around. There's also no right or wrong answer to the way that this is supposed to look. And so if you literally wanted to leave it exactly the way I had it just now, you could do that. You could spread it out more, you could leave it more pigmented, you could leave it more messy, you could be more refined. This is meant to be more abstract and just fun and kind of detailed, but more so just unique, different than something that you would walk in and normally get. And so this really again, has no right answers. Like, do what your heart desires. It's kind of like cooking. Like, add as much seasoning as your heart tells you. Add as much rubbing alcohol as your heart tells you. Mess with it as much as you want, and then you outline from there. If you're anything like me, I put a lot of pressure on myself to do really great. And nail art is one of those things that I just always feel like I don't do good enough at. I actually have really, really shaky hands. Sometimes you can really see it in my videos. I've learned how to camouflage it over time and I've learned how to use it to my advantage. And sometimes that works unless you're doing like checkered and then you're like, oh my gosh, like why are these lines just like fighting me at every turn? I think that's why I love art like this so much. It doesn't matter if you have shaky hands. It's not supposed to be that just like perfectly detailed, everything straight and symmetrical. Like this is just supposed to be more free spirited. And I don't know. To me, this is a great nail art design to pick if you are hard on yourself because there's a lot of room to just be imperfect and that's okay. and it doesn't have to be full of pressure. It can just be abstract and fun. And so if you're like me in that, welcome to my channel because you're never going to find perfect nail art here. And I'm never going to tell you that your nail art should be perfect. I think it's kind of impossible. I know people that do essentially perfect nail art, and I just like wish I could do that. But quite honestly, I just literally don't have the biology for it. Like my hands are just super shaky. That's not my specialty. I really love the details of like getting the gel right, offering different services, doing hard and soft gel, all of those things. But nail art, honestly, like one of my biggest insecurities. I actually had a girl who recreated this design after I posted it on Instagram and she like tagged me in it. And I was just like, what is happening? Because I don't know, guys. This is one of those things where I just don't feel like this is super in my wheelhouse. But I had a lot of people tagging me when they recreated this. And I was like, that is just so cool because this was a design that was made for me. And I'm a nail tech that kind of struggles with nail art. And I don't know. It was just super cool to see other people like resonate with it and take it and make it their own. It was so fun. And so if you ever do see a design on my page and you're like, "Ooh, like, I want to try that," or you see a tutorial and you're like, "Oh, I want to try that," please tag me in it. My Instagram is the exact same as my YouTube. It's just Emma Hicks Nails. Follow me there if you don't already. Tag me if you ever try anything that I recommend or like do a nail art design. I think it's so fun to see. This is always the point in the service where I am explaining to my clients that nail art has an ugly stage. Quite honestly, I think most nail art does not look good until after you top coat it. And if I was a client sitting there half the time getting nail art done, I would be like, is it gonna look like this when it's done? Like this doesn't look good. So I always explain to my clients like, oh my gosh, like this looks kind of ugly right now, but just wait until the top coat. And then I actually always have them compare hands. So if there's nails that don't have top coat and one that is perfectly top coated, I'll be like, okay, look at the nail art. Can you see the difference? And they're like, oh my gosh, like that's so crazy. Like it looks so much better. And you can just see the worry, even though most of the time my clients don't care and they know it's going to look good. Like you can just see they're like, oh my gosh, like it has come together. This is so cool. And I love that. I also think that just helps like draw them back in and make them feel involved in the process again because you have so much communication going into the nail art and what do you want? What colors do you like? Do you like this concept? Do you like that? And then it kind of gets really quiet and you're just kind of like working away. And this kind of brings back that final element of teamwork like, oh my gosh, look at this. Isn't that so cool? You can see it too. Oh my gosh, great. And then you kind of move on and end the service on a high note. You would think that I would correctly remember the name of this top coat that I literally have used since the first 3 months of being licensed. This is the only top coat that I use for nail art. It is the Cocoist Ultra Glossy Non-Wipe Top Coat. And I feel like I'm missing a word there, but no joke, this is perfect for chrome. Chrome nails stick so good to this. Love it for that. It is just like that perfect viscosity, so you can build up a little bit of an apex over the art to get that glass smooth look, which is really essential. Like if you are leaving texture on nails that aren't supposed to have texture, your nail art is not going to look as dimensional as it could. And so I always make sure that my nail art is perfectly smooth. It looks like that perfect apex again, and it just makes it look so polished, professional, and dimensional. Thank you guys for watching. If you do this, please tag me. I would love to see it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you have any other videos you want me to do, let me know. I will be back soon with another video. Also, I did these tiny white dots. Forgot to add that.